Good evening, everyone. Again, welcome to another episode of Sequoia Lending Wednesday night training. So if this is the first time that you're joining us, Sequoia, it's a commercial lending platform, allow you to bring your client or your projects to plug into our platform, and we provide the funding sources for you. So we are not only just funding projects, but also we see ourselves as a business consulting company that helps small business in any other ways that we can help. So for the last few years, many of us heard of this program called ERTC, Employee Retention Tax Credit. It has been out there for about, I would say about year and a half already. However, a lot of people still don't know what ERTC is all about. And quite frankly, a lot of business out there still do not believe ERTC even exists. It's just too good to be true. That's definitely, that is what we're going to be talking about tonight. So tonight we invited back Mr. Terry Judge, and Naomi back to our platform. And many of you remember Terry. He is the expert on cost segregation, and he was on our platform about, I would say about month and a half ago, but his company also does ERTC. So tonight, Terry and Naomi is going to be here to talk to us about what ERTC really is and how can we help our business clients to benefit from this program. So without further ado, Terry, Naomi, the floor is yours.
All right. Well, thank you, Alan. Once again, it's great to be back. Hello, everybody. We're calling in from Detroit, or well, let's just say the greater Detroit area, Michigan market. But we do this all over the country, and I love seeing all your smiling faces all over the country. So this is going to be fun. So we're going to get into ERTC. We've been involved in the very beginning of ERTC. We've actually witnessed a lot of the changes. We understand kind of the myths. Is this, we're going to get into, is this real? Is this BS? How do you qualify? Who's eligible? Who's not? And there's a lot of changes that have been happening in this program, but I will tell you, the benefit, the credits, when this is done correctly and all the T's are crossed, the I's are dotted, the refunds for your clients are large, and which means your commissions are also going to be very large. So we're helping clients save millions and millions of dollars every week with this program. So we're super excited to be sharing this with you. We can, just feel free to put your questions in the chat as we go. I'll take a breather, Naomi will take a breather, and we'll answer some of these questions and as we go through this. But it's probably going to take us 25 to 30 minutes to go over the material. I would advise, everybody just to jot down some notes. Well, obviously this is recorded, so you'll be able to replay this again. So again, my name is Terry Judge, and I'm one of the founders of the company, and we've been doing this stuff for about 17 years. And our whole focus, and that's why I'm so excited to partner with Sequoia, is that we are that niche tax credit company. We go find the refunds, we go find the depreciation benefit, the tax benefits, and we do all the back end work. We do all the technical heavy lifting. So all you guys got to do is identify the customer or the client or the opportunity and bring it through your platform, which we're already integrated with Alan and Sequoia. So it's awesome. All you got to do is fill out the form, and then we take it from there. We'll do 100% of the lifting. So I have my counterpart with me. She's our director of ERTC for Core, and she's dynamic. She really has helped us take our kind of this division, because we did this. I had somebody else helping, and it was just, we were moving too slow. They didn't, anyway, so Naomi came over and took over and helped us really grow this. And she's been instrumental and understands, where the changes are and helps you close businesses. Just been a phenomenal, alliance. So, so why don't we get into this? So Naomi, and again, she can tell you a little bit about, maybe, if you don't mind, Naomi, just maybe touch on your background, and then let's roll. Let's get into all this.
Sure. So I've been working in the tax and accounting industry for quite some time. I actually was involved with the IRS and nonprofit tax law prior to the pandemic as well. So I was very, very intrigued when it came to the COVID laws and how the government had planned on asserting all of these laws and making it able for businesses to stay alive. So I was intrigued from the beginning. I studied the COVID tax laws right away and kept up on all of the amendments. And from an early time, I was able to help many businesses in the beginning recover millions of dollars. The employer retention credit had a lot of amendments that happened to it over the course of time, which made it difficult for CPAs and attorneys to understand the whole nuances of this actual tax law. What is the employer retention credit? It is a law that was set in place the same time that the PPP and that was set in place. It's part of the CARES Act. In 2020, the government said businesses could take advantage of either the PPP or the ERC. And in 2020, that's exactly what they did. Most businesses took advantage of the PPP, and ERC was kind of left alone. The rules for the ERC in 2020 were pretty strict. And it was an either or situation where you are going to take advantage of the PPP or the ERC. But that changed over time, so we had to look at all the amendments that came about. And so we kept following how the ERC was acting or behaving, I guess you could say, how the government was behaving. So let me just explain how the ERC interacts for 2020. So for business owners that had W-2 and on the payroll and their employees on payroll, they are eligible for $10,000 or $5,000 in credits per $10,000 wages paid for the whole year. Okay, and that's just, it cannot interfere with PPP money. In 2021, they amended the law that said, okay, businesses that took advantage of PPP and PPP1 and PPP2, they're eligible for the employer retention credit now. So we're going to let you take advantage of that, but you can't let it interfere with your PPP money. So they amended the laws, but they actually added in all these little stipulations per se. So we kept following it, and we kept learning and kept growing. And I've been able to help a lot of business owners. So I'm pretty happy to be doing that. 2021 comes out, and they still don't know how long the pandemic's going to go on for. So then they amended it again and made a couple other amendments after that. So just in a nutshell, for 2021, per quarter for your businesses that paid employees $10,000 in wages paid per quarter, they were eligible for 70% back per quarter. So that's a pretty big refunds back if we can get your business to qualify. So that was for Q1 through Q3. And then if they were a new business as well in 2020, February of 2020, they would qualify for the new business employer retention in Q3 and Q4. It's up to $50,000 just for new businesses. So that's a very, very good tax incentive as well. Does that make sense to everyone so far?
Yeah, so essentially, if you had a business, we're typically, our qualifier is about four or five employees or greater, okay, as the kind of the minimum. And you had W-2 employees during COVID, which was what, Naomi, March
March
of
13th.
13th of
Mhm.
2020 through June of 21, correct?
Yes, we're going to go through Q3 of 2021, actually.
In all those
So-
quarters, there's big money available that the employer, the business owner, has already paid in. It's a payroll refund, basically. You've already paid in all the payroll tax. The IRS is now allowing you to get that back, and you can get up to 70% of the wages that you've paid your employees. So that's where kind of where the money comes from. Now it's just a matter of the technical element of putting it all together and filing it with the IRS correctly. And that's really where we come in to try to help our clients make sure that all the T's are crossed, I's are dotted, and the clients are going to get a successful refund. Okay,
Yes.
throw it back to you, Naomi.
All right. So, are we on the right slide, or can we?
This is the slide I have is just the CARES Act, talking about
Okay.
the 2.2 trillion in government relief, and then we
Okay.
roll into the, yeah.
Okay. So for some reason I can't see the slides, but that might be my error.
No, the slides
So-
aren't moving for us either.
Oh, they are not moving for
Oh,
you
you're
guys
not-
either? Okay. Let's see.
Well, you guys can't see the slides change?
We can see it now. We see the slide as eligibility right now.
Okay, all right, so we already touched on that. Let me
Not
go.
seeing
Oh,
that.
shoot, I'm sorry. Hold on one second, guys. There we go. Okay, can everybody see that?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, that was weird. Okay, we're back.
Okay. So are we on the agenda, or are we on?
Can you, we're on the CARES Act page, where it's got the payroll protection program and what slide can you see, Naomi?
Well, I'm able to flip through them all, and I don't think anyone can see what I'm going through. So that's fine, as long as I know where we're at.
Yeah, we're just here. I'll go back. So the next slide after the opportunity, which was
Okay,
what you just
thank you.
discussed. Yeah. So
Yep,
now we're into the
okay.
cars.
Yep. Yeah, so, the government did make several amendments. One thing that they did, one of the last ones, was to make the ERC available for nonprofits and churches, something that it wasn't available to them early on. So if you know of a nonprofit organization or a church, possibly, that went through some really hard times, the ERC is available for them as well. There are differences from the Paycheck Protection Program versus the ERC. The Paycheck Protection Program, we had to go through a process by supplying a lot of documentation early on, right? So the employee protection or the employee retention is not that way. You don't have to supply a lot of documentation to banks. What you do need to do is get a hold of the 941s, usually the UIA reports, help us determine the wages that were paid per quarter. If not, then we do request the payroll report. What we do is we also are looking at where was the business at during that time of the pandemic. So what we need to show is that the business was impacted by at least 10% or more of its daily activities, from travel, sales meetings, events, things like that, that really impacted the business. Did they have to make arrangements as far as their PPE equipment, or just the way that the business operated? Did they have supply chain issues? Were there things like that? Those are things that we need to know so that we can put this into a nice narrative so that the government can see exactly where the company was at. There is no pre-approval process per se for the employee retention credit, though. businesses that were not eligible to get PPP loans because they were new in 2020 will qualify for the employer retention tax credit. So that is one thing that you need to bring it to attention to the new businesses.
So so Naomi, we're on eligibility page. I think we
Okay.
kind of covered this already as far as,
Yeah.
you know,
Mhm.
so just to recap a little bit, so as you guys are out prospecting, I like to kind of talk from a sales oriented, position where you guys are out prospecting, what are you looking for? You're talking to companies that obviously almost every company potentially can qualify for this, which is kind of crazy. And it depends on some states were a little bit more shut down. Obviously, Michigan was a very shut down state. So if there was a government order, which were a lot of businesses, it was a state order, it wasn't business specific. So if you were if that state had a shutdown or a partial shutdown, then that potential business could potentially qualify. So what Naomi mentioned, the information that we need is the basic payroll information, which is called a 941. And that's what needs to get amended. Every business has this. They can get it from their accountant, they can get it from their payroll company, or they have it in-house, right? So that's the information that we request, among some additional documentation, that we have a checklist. And step one is, hey, Mr. Customer, how were you, have you heard of the Ertc? Find out where they're at with things. Did they talk to their CPA? A lot of CPAs, including our company, we said no in the beginning way more than we said yes. And the reason why is that a lot of these companies had growth during COVID. Their sales exploded. And so therefore, they didn't meet the revenue reduction requirements, which was 50% in 2020. You had to have 50% reduction in 2020. And then in 21, it was 20% reduction in sales and gross receipts to qualify. Well, that's no longer the case anymore. We do look at revenue, but if the revenue grew or stayed the same or didn't hit those thresholds of being reduced, they still can qualify based on what happened to their business. And that's really where Naomi touched on, did the company have what happened to them during COVID? Did they have a change in business hours? Like I said, was it a partial or full suspension of operations? Did they have supply chain issues? Did vendors have supply chain issues? Therefore, it messed up, their orders or getting products out the door. Was the company, did they have a reduction in services offered? We saw that quite a bit, with the kind of the restaurant community and retail. Was there a reduction in the workforce? Was there a disruption in the business? You couldn't visit a job site. Suppliers were unable to make deliveries. You couldn't, travel, or additional spacing was requirement for employees. So there's all these things that we'll look at and figure out, hey, do we have a case or not? So that's the part that we'll handle. We'll help. We'll kind of sort this out. We set up a discovery call with your client, and we'll walk them through this information. Okay, just so you kind of understand what's going on there. So Naomi, I'll turn it back over to you. Do you want to talk a little bit about how we optimize the credit, maybe some of the process that you go through to get to the end result?
Sure.
Maybe.
Yeah. So we do have an initial checklist that we ask for when we are, doing our discovery call. I will go through some of the questions with the business owner when I'm talking with them, and just ask, what is the percentage of ownership? So if it is a family-owned business and they are solely ran, their employees are all family members, they're not going to qualify. That is one exemption from the ERTC, was that family members, family-owned businesses and the family members of that business do not qualify for the ERC. So those wages have to be eliminated. So that's one of the first questions that I ask. Is this a family-owned business? How many family members do you have working for your business? Secondly, we want to know how much was their PPP loans? Did they receive one or two? Those are, that's a good question to make sure that you know when you're out there talking with businesses. Obviously, you want to know what were they going through? How hard was it on their business? Another question you want to ask, did they get any other government grants or help from the community? Those are things that we need to know. Once we do that, we'll request the documents, 941s, UIA reports will show the earned wages per quarter. Then we're able to put that into a spreadsheet calendar and go from that. We do the actual wages and then we do the employer retention credit wages. So from there, we're able to determine the numbers that the business would qualify for. We do usually, once all of the documentation is uploaded, we ask for about a week to get back with you. And then once we do that, it's pretty easy. We'll supply the document of everything that the business has given and you have given us into a nice document that goes into the IRS as well. The 941s will be amended, and then that will go to the client for signatures. Once that's done, we will overnight it into the IRS, and then we patiently wait for them to receive their refunds.
Yeah, so on that note, it's running about 6 to 8 months, could be longer.
Mm-hmm.
So and you got to understand the IRS is filing millions of claims right now. And so, you know, the fact that there is some urgency around this program. You know, we want to get our clients in line, and then we oversee that and we follow up with the IRS, but it is running at least 6 to 8 months before they start getting their refund checks. Okay. And, you know, there has been a lot of companies out there that you guys might have heard about that are not legitimate. They are doing fraudulent activity. And those are the ones that are going to get, you know, shut down eventually. The IRS is starting to catch up with some of these folks that are not doing this correctly. So just understand, you know, that there has been some bad actors out there that jumped in this business because obviously the money is large. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity. So I just, you know, I encourage everybody to take this very, very serious. Mm-hmm. And when I say this program is set to expire, you know, we do have some time, but it's a 3-year look back. So the things that we're doing now in 2023, so 2020 is set to expire at the end of this year, but I think they've extended that, Naomi. Is that
yes,
correct?
They have. Yes, they have extended it by 2 years. However, the quicker we get it in, the better it is. Because they can change their minds at any time. We've seen all the amendments they made.
Yeah, they could cut this off. So, but technically we have more time. But we're approaching this with urgency. We're telling our clients to move fast. Don't wait on this. Don't sit on this. Do their due diligence. You know, bring their CPA to our discovery call. Bring their attorney. Let the, you know, whatever. We show them the tax law changes. We show them everything, the mandates. We provide all the documentation. The only thing that we ask of the client, obviously they send us over the payroll information, but we also have them write maybe like a 2-paragraph, 3-paragraph on their company letterhead on how they were impacted during COVID. And it was just this particular slide, or is it this slide here? We asked them to kind of write out, you know, what happened to them? What did they do during that time? How were they impacted? Even if their sales grew, we still want them to write this out. We also build in our own narratives. So everything is, when we send it to the IRS, it's rock solid. So let me touch real quick on some real clients these are real clients, these are real numbers. That these are just a sample of the size and scope, but just think about, I want this to be a memory jogger. So even the real estate community, even like brokerages, real estate brokerages, agencies that are out there, property management companies, and so on and so forth can qualify. So this first one we did, they had 18 W-2 employees. Total refund was 250 grand. Software company had 45 employees. We got them over 1.1 million. Manufacturer, 51 employees, 1.2 million. Electrical contractor, 65 employees. They were told no, by the way, this particular contractor here in Michigan, several times. We came in, we basically did an analysis, and lo and behold, we qualified them for, they haven't got their check yet, but they're going to get almost, over 1.5 million. And then we finished up this big one down at the bottom, 432 employees. They're getting they got 6.3 million coming, and they wanted they didn't. Here's another thing that we can offer through Core is this particular company. And now that we have a funding source, and maybe, and Alan, we'll talk. I want to talk to you about this because this is kind of a new development. Where there's a lender out there that likes to get into what's called factoring, and they're actually going to buy out the ERTC contract, refund. They're actually going to buy it out, pay off the company 85 cents on the dollar, and we're now going to be able to get this money to our client within probably this month, probably the next 15 days, because we just went through this process. So that was kind of an interesting development. So there's a lot of levers that we can pull for the client, but the first and foremost is, do they qualify? And we'd love to get on the discovery call. So that's what your job is to do, is just bring people, set up calls with us, and we'll walk your client through this exact information to get them over the finish line. All right, so we already kind of touched on this. This is just this slide here. If you can see this is just part of we do write a formal tax opinion, and then everything in our deliverable, again, is just documented, and everything is our computations. We can share that with their CPA if need be. And it talks about how we came up with our numbers. So with that, let me, we got a bunch of questions in the chat. Why don't we get into some of the Q&A right now? And I will get in here and, okay, so here is a question from Sultan. How far back can the business owners get to ERTC? So we're going to look at your revenues in 20 and 21. It's based on what you did in 2019. So they benchmark it from what your sales were in 2019. And then if you had a reduction in revenue, that's just one way to get that money, but it's not the only way, as we already mentioned. So but the program kind of lives in 2020 and 2021. That's how far back we can go. So good question there. Payroll, what does PPP stand for? That was Payroll Protection Plan. That was the big COVID fund that the government was just basically writing checks to millions of businesses that suffered through COVID. I mean, pretty much anybody that raised their hand got money. It was crazy. And that's probably why inflation has gone up, or one of the reasons why inflation is running rampant. And then ERTC is just another version on steroids of the PPP. There's just a little bit, there's a lot more kind of technical items that we have to go through to get that money. It's not as easy as the PPP. That's why there's an opportunity for you guys to make a lot of money still with this program. Let's see. Why do I hear people say 26,000 per employee? That was from Alfred. That's a great question. So if you add up the available money from both 2020 and 2021, it adds up to $26,000. I'm not a mathematician, but if you take each quarter and you add up the availability of what the IRS will pay back, based on wages paid in, it adds up to $26,000 total if you fully qualify for every nickel. That's why you keep hearing 26 grand on the radio. That is not that's not a fictitious number. That actually a business can qualify for that. A lot of businesses won't get all of that money just because maybe they don't qualify for certain quarters. Maybe they don't qualify for a certain year, but the potential could be 26 grand. Okay, per quarter or per program here. Let's see. I'm a restaurant owner. I got a lot of phone calls and emails every day. How do I approach the prospect without making them feel it's too much? Yeah, again, it's this program is widespread. People are getting solicited, emailed, phone call. It's crazy. And we're doing it through relationships. So if you know businesses, in your circle, in your town, small businesses, just if you're in a networking organization, you can start talking about this program, and then we can take it from there. Let me I'm going to type another question is, how do we contact you? Obviously, Alan can connect us, but I'm going to actually put my personal email in the chat, everybody, and feel free to write this down.
So let me jump in right here.
Yes.
On your website, if you are a Sequoia member, on your website,
yes,
under products, you already see the ERTC link. Okay, so fill out that form, and Terry or Naomi is going to reach out to you or your client. So again, you will already have all the access through your Sequoia website.
Very good. Yep. And there's a whole and so Alan's got a form that can be filled out by your client, or you can, when you're with your client, you can walk them through. It's a simple qualifying. We don't need information at this point. It's a simple quick qualifier. If they can pass that sniff test, then have them fill that out. It'll come to us, and then from there we know how. Then Melanie from my office will actually set up a discovery call. And we encourage you to be on that call with your client, obviously, and that's where the magic happens. We close probably, it's in the 90 percentile once you get us on the phone, and as long as they qualify, 90% are going to engagement. Okay, and that's just money in the bank for you guys.
So just remember, guys, you are not the one to sell this product. There's a lot of detail involved with text, a lot of numbers. So the best thing to do for you is to go out there, tell all the business people out there, hey, there's a free money. The government is trying to give it back to you. Qualified or not, don't worry about it. If you do not submit, you're 100% not qualified. You 100% cannot get it. But if you submit to it, hey, you might have a very good chance, because that's why we bring in Terry and Naomi. They are experts on this field. They have been doing this thing for so many years. They know how to talk to the client. They know how to talk to the government and try to get them the money back. Okay. So again, all this information is for us to understand what ERC is. And there is this program out there. So our job is out there to let them know, fill out the form. That is our job. That's it. So somebody asking for PPP. PPP, do you know how many PPP we closed through Sequoia? We closed over 3,000 PPPs through Sequoia. And we want to do the same thing for ERTC. So again, go out there, make this thing happen. A lot of people making a lot of money out of it. Why not you?
Yeah, and great point. There's another question here. How are we doing on time, Alan?
Oh, you're fine. We got plenty of time. So
okay.
Yeah, you got plenty of time.
Okay.
If you don't mind, I do run into a few questions that people keep asking. So one of the biggest questions people ask is that, hey, my CPA told me I'm not qualified for it. Can you help us out?
Yeah.
How would you handle questions like this?
It's still happening every single day. All right. Naomi and I are on the phone every day doing this program. I mean, this has been my focus. It's been Naomi's focus every single day. And like I said in the beginning, the CPAs, originally it was based on just revenue reduction. That was really the only way they thought That was kind of the easy way. If a company had reduction in sales, you automatically qualified for the money and life was good. Okay. A lot has changed from the beginning because they didn't know how long COVID was going to last. Obviously, it lasted a lot longer than everybody thought. And therefore, the laws have changed 5 times. Okay. And so therefore, the CPAs need to understand, they don't understand the law. So they, believe it or not, they are not taking the time. They're not attorneys. They don't dig into the tax code at all and learn this stuff, nor do they want the audit risk because this is complicated. Therefore, they deflect to a company like a specialty company like Core and Sequoia that we take on the audit risk. Okay. And so we do all the upfront work based on hopefully accurate information that we're getting from the client. And we go ahead and file. But there is a process to get from, A to Z that we have to do. So that's why CPAs are just basically saying no, because they don't know the other ways of qualifying.
You
So
can
they
always
need
ask for a
education.
second look.
Yeah, so good point. So we're going back and we're, all the clients that we said no to originally, we're going back. So there's hundreds of thousands of businesses, guys, that are still, they have not done this. They've heard of it. They've been told no. And we want to be able to at least look at their file again and see how much we can actually qualify. Because there's probably a good chance that there's money available for these folks that were told no originally by their CPA. And we're happy to talk to their CPA and show them case law and show them why we're doing and how we're doing what we're doing, why we're doing what we're doing. We're not putting anybody in jeopardy. We're not being aggressive. We're just following the program to the letter. And with that, we're also adding in, I should say, our work will withstand IRS scrutiny. Okay, that's a better way to say it. So we have an audit defense program built into this. If anything came back on the client itself, based on our work, we will defend our work. If there's something that, let's say there's a denial, or a quarter that maybe they didn't approve, what have you, this is very unlikely. This is not a high risk audit situation, but we're dealing with the IRS, so we don't know, right? But we will defend our work, and that's important. We're not one of these companies that are just going to be like, okay, see ya, and you're on your own. And if there is a denial for whatever reason, or a quarter or something would needed to be rectified, we would then refund whatever portion of our fee back to the client. But that's going to be, again, we just don't anticipate any of that stuff happening because we're obviously, again, doing everything up front, doing everything correctly. That's why we spend a lot of time putting these together.
Mhm.
So Terry, there's another questions that I often run into is a lot of people saying, hey, I already got PPP or I already got EIDL. Can I still
Yep.
qualify for ERTC?
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. Yep, that was one of the big law changes that you can now take. You can get ERTC even if you took PPP, and that, again, that's why a lot of clients still, a lot of businesses out there still qualify. You just can't we can't double dip the same payroll information. So that's why, again, we have to go through and see what they got for both PPP loans. We back out the same wages. We back out those wages, and then we go from there and then calculate the ERTC. Okay, so that's how that works. Cool.
Mhm.
We do charge a contingency. There's a question in here. Let us handle the fees because they're they based on the company, based on the size of the refunds, based on, we do ask for 50%. We are getting it a lot. We do get 50% up front, and then the other 50% we wait on the back end, but some give us pushback, and therefore we do negotiate. Okay, so let us handle the moving parts on how these things get priced out. But we do price these fast. We take a look at the whole case, and then, but they're, we're roughly around, just so you guys know, we're roughly around 17.5% of the total credits. Okay, and that's really fair. Some companies are charging 30.
Mhm.
Some companies are charging less than us, but it's, you pay for what you get. There is no backbone, there's no deliverables, there's no narratives, there's no audit defense. So for us doing all the work, we feel that's a fair rate. And then you guys have your own comp plan within that. I'll let Alan address that, but that's,
Right.
Yeah, this is a pretty solid opportunity for everybody.
Right. So out of that 17.5% that Terry charges, Sequoia gets a referral fee of 4%. Okay. So we don't need to do anything. All you have to do is just to tell your client, have them to come in, fill out that form. That's it. You sit back, relax, and wait for the deal to close. So when we get the 4%, you get paid based on the comp plan 5.0. So if you don't know what that is, go to our YouTube channel, watch our comp plan 5.0. Regardless what type of product, whether it's cost segregations or ERTC or fix and flip, no matter what it is, whatever Sequoia generates, we pay out to the field based on the comp plan 5.0. Okay.
Yeah, and our fee can go up to higher than that as well. But again, that I'm just giving you guys kind of an average of what we charge. So the more we charge, the more you guys make.
And Terry, I understand that you also do cost segregation. So you did a training on that about month and a half ago. I believe there's a lot of new agents on this call right now. So if you don't mind, can you touch up on that, what that product is, for about 5 to 10 minutes?
Yeah, the beautiful thing about working with us is that we do offer an array of services in the tax world. So, and the one that Alan just alluded to is for around commercial real estate investors that are buying commercial buildings. They could also be buying multifamily affordable housing or senior living or hotels or short-term rentals, or like on Airbnbs. Like all these rental investment properties qualify for something called cost segregation. And all cost segregation is another powerhouse tax incentive that allows a property to be written off over 1 to 5 years as opposed to 39 years. And therefore that all that depreciation that you would get by owning that property, instead of waiting 39 years, why would you wait 39 years when you can get it in your pocket in 1 to 5? So we basically, the IRS allows us to front load all that depreciation into the early life, and therefore that depreciation can be used against income that these properties are producing, which gives the net result is basically zero tax for could be years to come. We literally it can wipe out tax liability. In ordinary income tax is almost 40% in the United States. So if we can put 40% back in their pocket by doing this strategy, it's hundreds of thousands of dollars, and it accelerates their ability to grow their real estate portfolio. And it goes hand in glove with commercial lending. And once you guys start getting you guys have clients that are going through the commercial lending, you're talking to prospects out there about commercial lending. One of the things that's going to separate you from all the other, lenders out there is that you can offer something called cost segregation studies, and it's going to put a feather in your cap. It's going to give you some differentiation. And you're going to have that true advisor, mindset, and your clients are really going to appreciate you bringing them strategies. And again, there's a form on the Sequoia website under cost segregation. It's we ask for very simple information, and we'll do the discovery call. We'll close that bit. We have about a 90% closing ratio on that service as well. So we're very good at what we do when it comes to specialty tax credits and incentives. And eventually we'll be rolling out more things for the Sequoia team. But right now, the ERTC and the cost segregation are two of the hottest strategies, offerings, services, whatever you want to call it, that you can put in front of your client to help open the door, create credibility, build rapport, and then get your commercial lending done. I think it'll drive some of your efforts, and so just use that as a kind of a tactic and a door opener and a conversation. You can, there's lots of information out there on cost segregation, through Sequoia. We'll be able to share information as well on that. I know we already did a training for you guys. I'm sure that's on the website somewhere. You can go back and read it or view it, I should say. But anybody that's buying, renovating, building a commercial property of any type, anything, let's just call it over 500 grand and above, right? All the way to hundreds of millions, can qualify for, think of it as an appraisal on steroids. Think of it as, when someone's going to get a loan, they have to get an appraisal done to get financing. Well, the bank doesn't require a property owner to get a cost segregation study. However, they leave a ton of money on the table if they don't have a cost segregation study done, usually once the building goes into service. So once somebody buys the building, I don't care when they buy it, how much they paid for it, as long as it's over $500,000, and they're going to hold that property beyond 3 years. Okay, that's usually the holding point. If they're going to flip it, that's not a good candidate. But somebody that's buying a property for long-term cash flow, it doesn't make business sense for them not to do this. It actually is. It's actually becoming the approved method by the IRS now, believe it or not. That cost segregation is kind of the new way to write off a property, not the old method, which we call the straight line method, and I will tell you that the CPAs across America don't touch this type of service. They would use a company like mine, and we partnered with thousands of CPAs over the course of the years. And we've been doing this for 17 and a half years. And we've really become one of the go-to firms for lots of big real estate companies, big investors, syndicators, and we're excited to work with you guys. So just all you got to do is introduce, bring them in, fill out the form. We'll get on the call and help you close it. I don't want to go too more in depth in that, Alan, right now.
Absolutely. And again, ladies and gentlemen, so cost segregation, if you want to find out the detail of it, go to our YouTube channel. You will see, watch that video that Terry did about a month and a half ago. Very, very detailed, exactly how to do this kind of stuff. And also on your website under product, there's another product under that page. It is the cost segregation. So again, the product page, it's the engine of Sequoia. Go to that page, understand what type of product that we can offer to our client. And there's so many things that we can offer to the public. So again, there's no reason for us not to be able to get something done this year, whether it's ERTC or cost seg or fix and flip, multifamily, construction, whatever that might be. Look at the variety of product that we can offer to our business owners. Okay. So without further ado, I don't know, are there any other questions or what's
Alan,
Yes,
Alan,
go
this
ahead.
is Lynn. This is Lynn. I have a question.
Go ahead.
So when you have a client fill up the form, and then basically they will submit to the back office, and someone will reach out to the client directly, so we don't have to involve with that, right?
That is absolutely correct. So once you fill out the form, or you don't even need to fill out the form. You send your link to your client and have them to fill out the form. And once the form is filled out, Terry and Naomi's team is going to receive that response, and they will reach out to the client.
Got you. Okay,
Yeah.
so we would let the client know that someone, the officer will reach out to you guys. Okay.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. There's another question in the checkbox. What size will consider chain companies that are owned by a major corporation, Subway, Cold Stone, SBA approved chain store?
So, it's tricky when it comes to the chain stores. whether they're owned by the corporation or they're individually owned. And that's something that they're just going to have to ask the client. I know Pizza Huts are individually owned. I've got a business owner that owns 5 of them in our town, and they did qualify for the ERC. But you'll have to talk with the client on the ownership of the company. We just really need to stick with the rule of 100 employees for 2020 and then under 500 employees for 2021.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
I put it in chat, but I don't know if you all saw it or not. But my question is, if you are already with another company that you're doing ERC with some of your clients, and for some reason those clients are not accepting the grant, or they either not accepting or they not getting, I don't know what's going on, but I have quite a few clients, and I just wonder if I can recommend them to come over to this side of ERC, Employee Retention Credit.
Did they sign the engagement letter with the other company?
I'm thinking some of them I know some of them, very few of them that signed their agreement, but the majority of them have not signed the agreement. And the ones that has not signed the agreement, they are most of the one that saying for some reason they don't want it, they're not accepting, and I just really don't know. I just thought maybe that I can recommend them to this company that doing the ERC as well, and maybe by them just filling out their own instead of go on the one that we have with the company that I'm working with. I have to get on the computer and help them fill their forms out on the computer. But the way I'm understanding you are that all we have to do is just give them the information, our ID, our website, let them go on and fill out their own form. So that's the question that I would like for you all to answer. May I bring them over to this side?
We definitely don't want to step on any toes. So if the engagement letter is signed and the company is engaged with the other company, then they would need to let them know, hey, we've changed our mind and don't want to use you as a company. And now that has to be as long as they have not signed the amendments. As long as the amendments, have not been signed, then we should be able to help them. A lot of the times, some of these companies, they want you to go and fill out everything online, and they don't put any personalization into what they're doing. It's just here, apply for this, do this. Where we take the time, we talk with the business owner and understand exactly where they were at, right? So some of these companies I don't know what company you're dealing with, but I hope that they're doing their due diligence to take care of your client.
So if they has not signed the amendment, or that which is going to be pretty much the agreement, if they have not signed the agreement, I can pretty well bring them over.
Yep.
If they would like to.
Yep, and they need to let the company know that they do not want to use their service. And
they need to, that particular client or clients need to let the company know themselves that they will not, no longer reuse them or whatever. They will have to do it. Okay. But to be actually legally. Okay. Okay, I will make mention to them because I have quite a few clients that I've kind of just spent a whole lot of time and have not gotten anywhere with them through the company.
Right. So bring them in. Okay. Well, one thing that I would suggest is that bring them in. It does not hurt, and let Terry and Naomi to take a look at it. If we can continue to move forward, we will do it. If not, there's nothing for them to lose. Right.
Yeah, that's right. And some of my clients is I have like 100. Some of them have like 100 some people. Clients, they have like 100 some employees, W-2 employees.
Right.
Wonderful.
So another question is that if Naomi, if somebody, one of our agent would like to get onto the call together with the client and with you. Is that possible?
Absolutely.
Okay, great. So Cindy, the way it works is that once they schedule a call, they will send out an email to all of us. So you will receive an email also. And if you want to be on the call, absolutely. Okay.
So I can, if these clients that I have, if I can at least get them on the board if nothing else, right?
Correct.
Do you hear the question, Will? I can at least have them to get on these calls, or may I get them on this call?
Yeah, absolutely. When you submit it in, once you submit the scenario form, Naomi is going to get the information. So she will reach out to the client. Absolutely.
So any other question that I have, I just email you, Terry.
No, go through what the initial protocol is this. Always submit the client through your website. Then that client is going to be registered in our system. And once that is done, then our team is going to be coordinating the email back and forth between you and the client. And of course, I mean, they have a direct access to Terry and Naomi as well. So once the file's in the system, then the communication starts.
Okay, let them fill out their application on that.
That's correct. So just remember one thing, you don't even need to fill out the form. That is why we create your own website, and anyone that go through your link, go through your website, submit that deal, that is your client. So my suggestion for everyone in this conference room is that market your link, market your website. You have no idea who is submitting in. And once you capture that client become that is your client. All right.
Okay.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. That's another episode of Sequoia Training. And as you can see, Sequoia, we are not just a commercial lending company. We are here to share valuable information to the public. And hopefully by being a member, you're not just learning about all this information, but also utilize the information, turn that information to be profitable, to be something profitable for you. And most importantly, share this information to your community. Okay, so now next week, just a preview, next week we will be talking about startup funding. A lot of people is asking for, hey, I start up a new business, where can I get money? I'm purchasing a business, how do I get money? I got myself into a franchise, how do I get funding? I want to expand my business, how do we get funding? So that is the topic for next Wednesday night. So ladies and gentlemen, you will receive an email from us. We will post that onto Facebook. Please register as early as possible. And tonight's training is recorded. We will post on our YouTube channel latest by tomorrow morning. Okay. Thank you, everyone. And
Thank you. Awesome
Thank you.
training.
Thank you.
Thank
Great
you.
training.
Thank you.
see you all
Great
next Wednesday.
information. Thank you.
Definitely.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Yep.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank